That was a bit of a scare. Just had to come alongside this pontoon as my engine was overheating. Got yelled at by one of the tankers. He sounded his horn. So as the title suggests, in this episode I'm going to be running through a bit of engine maintenance. Last season I went into the Baltic Sea, and most of the time I didn't have quite enough wind to get the boat going, so there was quite a bit of motoring involved. The big thing that concerned me though was the sort of condition of the engine, now getting probably up to sort of 20 years old, and some of the sort of main auxiliary parts like the alternator, the starter motor and the water pump need a good looking at. Any boat owner with an engine, whether it be a humongous V8 status or just a tiny little 2 horsepower or a 6 horsepower outboard engine, you're going to have to do maintenance on it at some point. If you leave it, it's at your own peril, because at some point it's going to fail or just run really badly. Anyway, that's enough waffle for now. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments box below. And if you like the video and you like the channel, give us a thumbs up and click subscribe for future content. Cheers! So I've been hauled out of the water now for a couple of months and started doing some pretty critical jobs in and around the boat. The one that's been taking up quite a bit of time of recent is the engine, and I started out just removing the coolant hoses, which are supposed to be done every sort of 5 years, and the thermostat for the coolant system as well, which is housed inside the coolant pump. However, that job turned into a bit of a meh, and as a result I've kind of had a little bit of a partial strip down of the engine. I'll turn around and show you what's going on. So here we are. This has been my weekends for, well, the last, January and a bit of December. These are the hoses. So there's one here and there's a small one which goes between the coolant manifold there, the intercooler manifold, and where would normally be the coolant pump. This is the old coolant pump. As you can see, this is where the thermostat normally sits, and this is the little pump here, spun round by the belt, but you can see just how bad it was. What I thought was going to be quite a simple job of removing the bolts turned out to be a pretty panicky kind of moment. All the heads sheared off as I was trying to remove, which just left the studs poking out. So I removed this by drilling a bit of a gap around the bolts and kind of not a gentle tap with a hammer, just to get them moving, and then the whole thing just came away. So it's not been a very easy task at all. In the meantime, while I had all of this, obviously I had to remove the alternator out of the way while I was doing the work. Thought it best to replace it, and the starter motor, which is just at the back there. And yeah, gave the engine a good look over. I treated it with some paint where it's pretty bad, and then while I was in the back end of the engine, I did change out the engine mounts, which are just down there on the rear. Not an easy task at all, but got there in the end. And also changed out the forward mounts as well. So we've got 4 complete change out engine mounts, a new starter motor, a new alternator, and soon a new coolant pump, because that is completely finished. Well, the boat has turned into a bit of a workshop, but we are getting there. A few other jobs in the plan as well, which I'm hoping to do, but all in good time. So before I fit the housing, I'm just going to do a dry fit just to make sure everything's all right. Obviously the thermostat usually sits there, so I'll put that in beforehand, but just to show you, there is a slight difference between the 2 gaskets that come with the set, and it's important to get one in the right place. The first one has got a gasket all the way to the edge of the pump housing with a small holding bolt there, and then the the face of the contact to the engine block it skips out that bolt. That bolt actually hangs out the side, doesn't make contact with the engine at all, so that's just something to bear in mind. So just been dry fitting the water pump with the new bolts, just to make sure that they're the right length, etc. The old ones were a little bit difficult to gauge because they were just kind of mashed to bits. But now I am just assembling the well, the thermostat, which is here, and that sits in this little well. And with the kit you get a little gasket as well, so that goes in first, and then you put your thermostat in, and then there's a spring behind it which is just there. So we'll put this all together, and yeah, then we've got some high Lamar stuff to put on the joints. Leave that for about 20 minutes, let it go tacky, and then assemble to the engine block. Just been hoovering up a little, just trying to keep on top of some of the DIY mess. Another little job I've got coming on here is the temperature, or the exhaust temperature sensor, which and gauge, which I'm going to fit after my experience in the Kiel Canal with an overheating engine. I felt the need to install one of these because yeah, it's a good sort of, I suppose, early warning mode for you know, capturing an overheating engine. These, with the gauge, you can set the alarm to whatever you want. So if you want to see sort of a sort of small increase in maybe 5 degrees from normal engine temperature, you can set it so that it's as close as possible to the normal running temperature. So this is the exhaust section as it comes off the engine before it comes into the water lock box at the back. It's just, that's where it goes into. I've removed this because it's going to be easier for me to work on this instead of trying to drill holes in the hose in there. So this is the tiny little sensor, and essentially you just drill a hole in your exhaust hose and mount this little sensor inside with some cable ties to keep it fixed. And then there's a small little piece of electronics in there where you connect the main cable up to, just there, and then you run it into your sensor gauge. Can't really do this one-handed, but I've just drilled that bit. So that is the sensor in position. Just need to put the cable ties around it and sort of reinstate this exhaust hose. The last thing I need to do before I start filling up the coolant system again and treating that is to remove the heat exchanger bundle. It's a sort of a stack of tubes which run from this point here to the back of the engine. Just put that there. There it is. So I've got to undo that so I can remove the tube stack from the front and then clean it as best as possible. I have to be a bit careful with this because they can break if they're dropped or anything like that, and they're extremely expensive. A new tube stack is about 500 quid. This is the part where if you don't put antifreeze through your engine is probably the most susceptible to cracking from icing up and freezing over. So yeah, I'm gonna have to be a bit careful here, but it's gonna pay to inspect that and to clean out any of the tubes that can get blocked with bits and pieces. So after the Baltic session, I think it's definitely worth having a good look at it. Let's set them down there for now. Okay, so that's just about freed up. I'll be a bit careful there. The boot looks pretty good, the gator. So, look, actually doesn't look too bad at first glance, but we'll get in there. There's a little bit of weed and a few bits and pieces, but you know, we'll take this out. Let's remove the back section. Obviously part of this is actually held in the back there, so you can't really lift that elbow. I'll show you with a light because it'll be a lot easier. Removing the elbow, it's like goes up to a 90° almost as soon as you pull the exchanger out. So removing that before you bring this out by sort of a few inches, then it's going to be a nightmare. But it'll be a lot easier to get that off now the heat exchanger is freed up. But so here we go. First glance at this piece. You got like a hole on the side. And just bring that out. Being careful here not to damage anything. There we go. Actually, doesn't look. Oh God! Some mucky looking water. Yeah, there you go. I had to try and clean this up a bit. And just in there is the exhaust block. Doesn't look too bad. Not too bad at all, actually. Just brought this down into a bucket. It's not treated water, just been cleaning it out. I'm just going to add some of this anti-cork stuff with liquid moly. So I'll leave that to do its thing downstairs. You leave that about an hour and a half before I look to sort of clean it up a little bit and then reinstate it into the engine block. What I'm going to do now is just check the rear gator and just the entry point into the exhaust, which can get blocked up. It's a sort of, I suppose, a narrow point in the cooling system, so it's worth just checking that end just to make sure that hasn't like sort of started to build up with any gunk. And then I'll put this all back together again and start looking at doing a run-up test. So I've taken the rear gator off the heat exchanger, and actually everything looks pretty good down there. There's no gunk or anything. I'll just show you the hole. So it comes out the back of the heat exchanger and into that little hole there, and I've just checked that for any sediment build up, which there isn't any. So happy with that. I'm going to start putting this sort of back together again. It's not the easiest in the world to get off, but gives you a chance to inspect the condition of it. Nothing too bad at all. It looks like it's sort of, well, quite recently changed out. And looking at the heat exchanger itself, yeah, I think it has had a bit of servicing in the past. What I've also just done is remove the lowest point of the coolant system, which is this little tap down here. A lot of people don't. Well, as I've found, this has been so full of crap that it just normally sits there where that hole is. There was where the drain point was for the lowest part of the coolant system. Now, in the past, I've tried to drain it off from this point, and because of the crud at the bottom, it's just blocked up, and it was always impossible to properly drain the system. So what I've just been doing, when I've got this all opened up, just pouring in just water, fresh water from the top, flushed it through the system. You can see there's quite a lot of black gunk down there in the bilge now, so I'm just going to pump that out and get rid of that. And that's all fresh. That was clear water running through that in the end, just so give me a peace of mind that all the horribles were out at the bottom. Just going to use this pump to pump out and get rid of that liquid, and yeah, we can start to look and reinstate that. But that's looking, oh, which way around we're going to do it? That's looking pretty clear in there now. Just been clearing out the coolant bleed screw because it wasn't ever very good, as I mentioned. Just found that blob of sediment blocking the bottom, so that there is now clear. I couldn't see anything through that before, so no wonder that was not really working very well. So I can attach a tube onto that in future and use that to drain the coolant instead of just removing the hoses, which is how I was doing it, which doesn't actually drain off all of the coolant because it's not the lowest point. So yeah, that helps to drain that out and flush the system. Now I've got a working drain point for the coolant. I've just been down the chandlery. I've got some PTFE tape, which I'm just going to use to put this little valve back into position. There it is. Gave the heat exchanger as good a scrub up as I could. Most of the tubes are inside this main sort of outer protection tube, but you can just fill that up, and you can see that most of them are pretty clean. It's only had sort of 2 hours sat in that solution, so yeah, generally speaking, for the age of it, pretty happy. Heat exchangers back in. All the rubber ends are securely tightened. I've just gone around everything, just double check that it's all good. So this is now the Meg solution, diluted 50% with water, and that brings the cold freezing point down to -40, which is probably a bit excessive, but you never know. But there you go, 50% diluted. So I'm going to put that into the chamber now, fill up the system and check for any leaks. I'm going to put it in this bucket first, because getting it into the top end of the engine is a little tricky. A bit like holding a camera and pouring this at the same time. Okay, so that's full now, and yeah, about ½ litre back in the bottom. So yeah, it's the full 4.5 litres in there. It was just a small weep on that fitting where I didn't tighten it up, despite going round, or what I thought was around everything. So now, now that that's all done, we've just got to sort the raw water system out. Ideally, I do want to run this for a little while just to go over the engine, make sure everything's good. So that's that. I've just flushed through the raw water side of the engine without too much of an issue. It was just a little bit of a weep on this fitting here on the new water pump, so I just tightened that up. But yeah, otherwise it was a very successful bit of engine work, really. Got all this new stuff on, and the new pipe for the coolant system, and I've just run through yeah, all the coolant and flush out the system, which is awesome. It's probably not been done in a while. And also I've just installed the if I can get this out, probably best if I just remove the stairs. I've also just installed the new exhaust temperature sensor, which is, if I just flick that on, there it is. So that's just powered up off this three-way switch here. So it shares the power with my fuel gauge. I don't particularly need it on all the time, but I'll just flick that on when I'm running the engine, just so that the alarm can come in if I start to overheat. But you can wire this in directly into the ignition, so it's on when the engine's on, but I don't really want to mess around with it too much. Just simplify this. Obviously there is a sensor already on the engine, so this is kind of like doing a double, but the difference here is the sensor is on the exhaust outlet instead of the actual engine block itself. So if there are any changes in temperature, this one will pick it up quite a bit earlier than the main engine block. There's a lot larger body of water, whereas this is sort of monitoring the temperature through the exhaust pipe itself. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Catch up soon, and yeah, we'll be getting on with some of this maintenance. We're getting longer days now. It's now sort of 3:45, so yeah, hoping to sort of expand a little bit more on the project work. So yeah, I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.